In another universe. A universe where music never brought 7 boys together, and fame never carved their names into history books. 7 ordinary young men lived their quiet, messy, beautiful, complicated lives. They did not know each other. They had never crossed paths. But destiny is stubborn. If people are meant to meet, they will meet, in this universe or the next. Kim Namjoon was one of them. 26 years old, a literature professor who rode a squeaky bicycle to Seoul National University every morning. He was brilliant, awkward, soft-spoken, the kind of man whose brain traveled faster than his body. Students called him the Quiet Storm, because he looked calm from the outside but inside he held entire galaxies. But Namjoon was lonely. Not the loud kind of lonely, the quiet kind, the kind that makes you feel like you don't belong anywhere. One evening, while walking near the Han River, he spotted a little dog trapped under a metal bench, shivering and crying. Without thinking, he dropped his books and crouched down. The dog was scared, maybe hurt, maybe abandoned. Namjoon whispered softly, "It's okay. I'm here." He didn't know that this tiny moment, rescuing a nameless dog, was the first thread of fate connecting him to 6 strangers. Across town, another thread waited. Kim Seokjin, 28, owned a tiny restaurant tucked between 2 bigger stores that always overshadowed him. His restaurant wasn't famous, but it was warm like Jin himself. People came not because the place was trending, but because the food tasted like someone cared about them. Jin loved cooking, not because he was passionate about cuisine, but because cooking kept his mind busy, kept the memories away, the ones he never talked about. That same night, Namjoon walked into Jin's restaurant holding the injured dog against his chest. Exhausted, rain-soaked, he asked for something warm to eat. Jin looked at him, then at the dog, then silently went to the kitchen. 5 minutes later, he placed a bowl of steaming soup in front of Namjoon and said, "Eat. Someone who rescues little creatures deserves a hot meal." That night, Namjoon found comfort in a stranger's kindness. And Jin unknowingly met the first member of the family he didn't know he needed. Meanwhile, in Daegu, Min Yoongi lived a life made of long nights and quiet suffering. At just 27, he was already one of the best trauma surgeons in the hospital. His hands never shook. His voice never cracked. His emotions never showed. But Yoongi was drowning inside. He had once dreamed of composing music, of creating melodies that stitched broken hearts together. But life pushed him into medicine. And now, day after day, he repaired bodies while his own soul slowly fractured. One winter night, after a 36-hour emergency shift, Yoongi walked out of the hospital and collapsed into the snow. A stranger saw him fall. Jung Hoseok, a 26-year-old social worker who spent his evenings volunteering at youth shelters. Hoseok rushed to Yoongi's side, shaking him gently. Yoongi woke up to a warm voice saying, "You don't have to be strong all the time." Something inside Yoongi cracked at those words, because nobody had told him this in years. Hoseok carried him back inside, saving not just his body, but something deeper. Hoseok was sunshine. Everyone described him that way. Kids loved him, adults admired him, and strangers smiled when he passed by. But sunshine can be misleading. Hoseok grew up fighting shadows, abandonment, fear, and nights full of silent crying. He healed others because he didn't know how to heal himself. Meeting Yoongi felt like meeting someone who understood quiet pain. And for Yoongi, meeting Hoseok felt like being seen for the first time. Far away in Busan, another life unfolded. Park Jimin, gentle and soft-spoken, taught contemporary dance in a small studio. He loved dancing more than breathing. The way movement freed him, the way music held him. But Jimin was terrified of being seen. Even at 25, performing in front of strangers made his hands shake. He believed passion was pointless if nobody noticed him. After failing yet another audition, he sat alone by the beach, hugging his knees as waves washed the sand beneath him. A boy with a camera approached him, Kim Taeyoung. Taeyoung traveled across Korea photographing abandoned buildings, stray cats, lonely bus stops, things people ignored. He believed beauty lived in forgotten places. When he saw Jimin crying, he didn't ask what happened. He simply sat beside him, pointing his camera at the sea. "Your dance looks like the waves," he whispered. "Even when you're breaking, you're still moving." No one had ever compared Jimin to something beautiful before. In that moment, two strangers felt strangely familiar. Then there was Jungkook, the youngest, 23, a rookie firefighter who rushed into danger without thinking twice. He was fearless and reckless, but his heart was softer than he'd ever admit. He saved lives because once, long ago, nobody saved him. His childhood was full of small wounds, the kind people ignore but never heal. But every time he pulled someone out of a burning building, every time he held a stranger's shaking hands, a part of him felt whole. One night after a fire rescue, covered in ash and sweat, Jungkook wandered into Jin's restaurant. Jin stared at him, horrified, and yelled, "Did you fight the fire with your face?" Jungkook burst into laughter, loud, bright, unexpected. Jin handed him a towel, muttering, "Sit down before you burn my chairs too." And just like that, Jungkook became a regular. Slowly, fate began stitching the boys together. Taeyong photographed a youth event Hoseok hosted. Jimin danced at the anniversary party of Jin's restaurant. Yoongi treated Jungkook's sprained shoulder after a rescue. Namjoon visited Jin so often that people assumed he worked there. Hoseok dragged Yoongi to Jin's restaurant one evening. Jungkook introduced Taeyong to Jin after a late-night fire drill. Jimin bumped into Namjoon at a bookstore, both reaching for the same poetry book. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't planned. But destiny was arranging them like stars, one by one, forming a constellation. And then one night everything aligned. All 7 boys ended up in Jin's restaurant together. For the first time, they talked. They laughed. Jimin shyly complimented Namjoon's voice. Taeyong took 100 photos of everyone. Jungkook made fun of Yoongi's grumpy face. Hoseok teased Jin until Jin threatened to ban him for life. Felt natural. As if their souls recognized each other, even if their minds didn't. Days passed. Weeks passed. Their friendship deepened like a river carving through stone. Then came the night that changed everything. A fire broke out at the youth center where Hoseok worked. Faulty wiring. Explosions. Panic. Jungkook and his team rushed to the scene. Jimin and Taeyong arrived to help evacuate children. Yoongi ran from the hospital to tend to the injured. Namjoon organized volunteers, coordinating rescue efforts. Jin cooked emergency meals for everyone affected. But during the chaos, Jungkook got trapped inside while shielding a child. The building groaned, cracked, and collapsed. Smoke poured out like a monster swallowing light. Yoongi screamed Jungkook's name. Hoseok fell to his knees. Jimin cried uncontrollably. Taeyong dropped his camera. Jin held Namjoon tightly as they watched firefighters dig through rubble. Minutes felt like hours. Until finally, Jungkook was pulled out. Burned, unconscious, barely breathing but alive. That night, they realized something unspoken. They were no longer strangers. They were family. Jungkook recovered slowly, with all 6 boys visiting him every day, bringing food, books, jokes, warmth, and arguments that made nurses roll their eyes. They promised to stay together, not as idols or legends, but as 7 human beings who had found the people they were always meant to meet. Namjoon published a book about human connection. Jin expanded his restaurant into a community kitchen. Yoongi transitioned into trauma counseling. Hoseok built a safer youth center. Jimin finally performed on a small theater stage. Taeyong became a renowned emotional photographer. Jungkook trained new firefighters. In another universe they were BTS, global icons. But here, they were 7 ordinary boys living extraordinary lives, not because of fame but because of each other. Even without music, their souls still harmonized. Because some bonds are written in the stars. Months passed after the fire, months filled with slow healing, quiet mornings, and new beginnings. Jungkook recovered faster than anyone expected, though the scars on his arm remained as faint reminders of that night. But he didn't mind. He often joked that the universe had carved a story into his skin. A story he was proud of because it led him to the 6 people who felt like home. Every morning, the 7 boys developed their own little rituals. Namjoon stopped by Jin's restaurant for coffee, always arriving too early, always pretending he just happened to be in the neighborhood. Jin would roll his eyes and say, "You live 30 minutes away." Namjoon would smile sheepishly and reply, "The traffic was nice." No one believed him. But everyone loved that he tried. Hoseok became a permanent fixture at Yoongi's side. He visited the hospital almost every day, claiming he needed to check on the kids or deliver documents. Yoongi pretended to be annoyed, muttering things like, "You're too loud for a hospital." But whenever Hoseok left the room, Yoongi's eyes followed him for a moment too long. He didn't know how to explain it, how Hoseok's presence brought color to the grayness he had grown used to, like spring sunlight warming a long winter. Taehyung and Jimin spent most afternoons together. Jimin practiced dance. Taehyung photographed him. Together they created art without even trying. Sometimes Jimin would dance barefoot in a field, his movements flowing like water, and Taehyung would capture every moment. The wind in Jimin's hair, the softness in his eyes, the strength hidden in his grace. Taehyung said Jimin looked like he was dancing with the universe itself. Jimin always blushed and covered his face, but deep down, he felt seen in a way he never had before. And Jungkook, he visited everyone. He had become the group's unexpected golden thread, the youngest but the bravest. He teased Yoongi, hung off Hoseok's shoulders, chased Taehyung around parks, convinced Jimin to try silly new dance trends, forced Namjoon to take breaks from work, and ate half of Jin's ingredients every time he visited. They were 7 men on 7 different paths, yet somehow they ended each day in the same place, together. But life as always had other plans. It began with Namjoon. One evening, he received a letter. A prestigious global research program in Europe wanted him as a lead scholar. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, something professors twice his age could only dream of. But accepting it meant leaving Seoul for 2 years. 2 years away from the boys who had become his family. Namjoon stared at the letter for hours, unable to breathe under the weight of the decision. When he finally told the others, they froze. Jin dropped the spoon he was holding. Jimin's eyes widened. Hoseok gasped. Jungkook immediately said, "You're not going." Yoongi was the only one who stayed silent. Taehyung whispered, "Hyung, do you want to go?" Namjoon hesitated. "It's a big chance. But I don't want to lose you guys." Jin stepped closer, placed a hand on his shoulder and said softly, "You won't lose us. We're not going anywhere. You should go. You deserve this." Namjoon's eyes filled with tears, the kind he never allowed himself to show. But the boys weren't upset. They were proud and afraid, but mostly proud. Still, they knew the clock had started ticking. While Namjoon struggled with the idea of leaving, a different storm brewed around Yoongi. He had been acting strange, grumpier than usual, quieter, disappearing for hours. Hoseok noticed first. He always noticed everything about Yoongi. One night, after saving a patient in emergency surgery, Yoongi found himself standing on the hospital rooftop, staring at the city lights with trembling hands. For the first time in years he felt fear. The weight of every life he had saved, and every life he couldn't, finally crashed down on him. Hoseok found him there, hunched over, breathing hard. Yoongi didn't look up. "Hobi, I don't think I can do this anymore." Hoseok froze. "Do what?" Yoongi's voice cracked, something it never did. "This job, these lives, this pressure. Every time I walk into that operating room, I wonder if I'll fail. I wonder if someone will die because of me." Hoseok reached for his hand, holding it tightly. "Yoongi, you're human. Even superheroes break." Yoongi let out a bitter laugh. "I'm not a superhero. To me you are," Hoseok whispered. Yoongi's eyes watered. He didn't push Hobi away this time. He didn't hide. He simply leaned into the embrace, letting himself feel safe. Maybe for the first time ever. But the next morning, Jung made a decision. He applied for a new position at the hospital, trauma counseling for medical professionals. A job where he could help doctors and nurses heal from the same wounds he carried. The boys supported him instantly. But everything was shifting, like pieces of a puzzle rearranging themselves. Jimin too had a new dream. He wanted to build his own dance studio. A place where kids could learn without fear or judgment, where creativity mattered more than perfection. But he didn't have the money, or the confidence, or the business experience. Taeyong, however, took his hand one evening and said, "Let's do it together." Together. Jimin blinked. "But Taeyong, you're a photographer." Jung smiled. "Exactly. I can shoot all your promos, build your website, market your classes. And besides, I want to see you shine." Jimin felt something warm bloom inside his chest, a feeling he wasn't ready to name yet. Meanwhile, Jungkook had been recommended for a special firefighter training program abroad. A program that could make him one of the youngest elite rescue specialists in the country. But accepting it meant facing something he had been avoiding. His fear of losing people again. The same fear that nearly paralyzed him the night of the collapse. He didn't know how to tell the others. Jin carried a secret too. His restaurant was offered a massive investment opportunity, enough to open a second branch in Busan. But that meant leaving Seoul for months, overseeing construction and training staff. For the first time in his life, Jin had a shot at real success. But the thought of being away from the boys made him hesitate. One by one, all 7 boys stood at crossroads. Dreams, fears, opportunities, changes, and destiny was testing them. One night, they all gathered in Jin's restaurant, maybe for the last time before everything shifted. The lights were warm. The air smelled like soup and grilled meat. But there was something heavy in the silence. Something unspoken. Namjoon finally said it. "Guys, I think we're all scared." No one disagreed. "We found each other when we needed each other the most," Namjoon continued. "But life doesn't stop. And dreams don't wait," Jimin whispered. "But what if we drift apart?" Yoongi answered softly. "Then we find our way back. Like we always do." Taeyong nodded. "Families don't disappear. They just grow." Hoseok smiled sadly. "And sometimes distance just means we'll have more stories to tell when we meet again." Jungkook clenched his fists. "I don't want to leave you." Jin placed a hand on his head. "You're not leaving us. You're growing." The boys sat together for hours talking, laughing, crying. And by the time the night ended, one truth became clear. They had met for a reason. They had healed because of each other. And now, it was time to grow. Not apart but forward. Ready or not, life was about to change for all 7 of them. But fate wasn't done with them yet. Because soon, something unexpected would happen. Something that would pull them all together again in a way they never saw coming. A storm was approaching. And their story was far from over.